Firstly, thank you very much for the introduction. It's great to have the opportunity to be here in Athens and to have the opportunity to talk about this really, really important topics. I would just open up by saying that growth needs to be the key priority from an economic perspective for the European Union in the time ahead. We have been extremely successful in our efforts to reduce inflation, even though the cost of living continues to be a challenge for households and businesses in Greece and in Ireland and across Europe. And there is a very big difference between inflation coming down and prices coming down. That being said, we have been successful in delivering a significant reduction in inflation over the last 2 years. Where we now stand is that even though we have avoided a recession as we reduced inflation, we now have a medium-term growth outlook for the European economy that is significantly below other trading partners and other currency zones across the world. And we need to refocus on how we can get our economy to grow. In terms of how we do that, I firstly want to underline the exceptional performance of the Greek economy over the last number of years. To say that since I became president of the Eurogroup and since I first visited Greece in 2020, the turnaround in the Greek economy, its exit from enhanced surveillance, its ability to bring down borrowing and return to growth that is now above the European average, is one of the standout and signature achievements of the euro area and Europe. I want to in particular acknowledge the really important contribution that Kostas makes in all of this, your finance minister, who not only represents the Greek economy with great insight and expertise in the Eurogroup, is also a very valued contributor to all of the big debates that we are having in the Eurogroup now. And in those debates that are focused on growth probably have 3 elements to them. The first one is, what are the right levels of borrowing? What is the right kind of budget policy we should have in the European Union in the years ahead? And in particular, how can we get the balance right between reducing borrowing after the pandemic and maintaining investment in a European, a Greek and an Irish future? And that is why Next Generation EU is so important. And that is why it's so important that countries such as Greece, who were so successful in making the case for Next Generation EU, continue in their efforts to show that that economic decision has been a big success. And I want to recognise, of course, my former colleague, Christos Stachouris, that I know is playing a valuable role in the implementation of Next Generation EU within the Greek economy. Secondly, I'd have to highlight the importance of capital markets. The underdevelopment of capital markets within the European Union is a really significant area of competitive disadvantage, and we need to look at how we can improve our capital markets in Europe and how we can use our savings in Europe to contribute to economic growth in Europe. And then finally, it's the whole area of competitiveness. And there is a big discussion underway at the moment within the European Union about the Letta report, about the likely recommendations that Mario Draghi will bring, that will again focus in on what are the decisions that we need to make to rebuild our competitiveness within Europe after years of dealing with the pandemic and while we are confronting a war. So I'd have to in particular highlight those 3 areas: capital markets, budget policy, a renewed focus on competitiveness to address Europe potentially underperforming in the medium term. But again, I have to recognise the exceptionally important work that the finance minister of Greece has done in ensuring now that Greek economic performance is now ahead of Europe, and in particular running a primary budget surplus and managing a high level of debt so successfully are really important political developments within Europe.